It is Friday. RawMikeRichards.com broadcasting live from 234 King Street East in downtown Toronto. Location, the Glaston Studio in the Pacific Junction Hotel. Is it a bar? Yes, it is. Why do you think we chose this location? We still have yet to use some of our other venues that we actually have here. But this is where we started. This is the one we love. And we're glad that you have joined us. Dave Bastel back in from his
vacation. I guess you can't say that.
I was going to say something really bad. His penis reduction surgery. He said, it's too big. It's becoming cumbersome. So he is back, thanks to Jimmy the Bag yesterday. And his job filling in, fun as always, and what a charming story about his dad. The BC Lions getting into a fight when Jimmy was 6.
So I don't have any of those stories about me.
No. Marissa, so far, maybe there'll be a baseball. And then, just because I struck out, we have a lot of things to talk about. And, of course, we're going to get into the Mayweather-McGregor. As you can see, look at me fucking hot, you bitches. That's what's happening. What's happening is the wager that I still think is, I'm unchanged by looking at where I think I might go the distance. I'm not the only one, by the way. And there are a lot of boxers, UFC guys that have weighed in one way or the other. We're going to see at some point a clip from Oscar De La Hoya. He was on one of the shows on ESPN, and he kind of echoed everything that you and I basically have been saying for, months now once we looked at the fight, which was, I don't think anyone's going to get knocked out. If Mayweather were the type of guy on his resume who had, something that says, all these knockouts, fact is that's not his style. He's the best defensive boxer, Dave, that maybe has ever lived.
I was going to say, ever. I'm trying to think of somebody that was better defensively, but in our era of watching boxing, there hasn't been anybody close.
No, so
and he's been and on that same note, he's also been one of the most boring fighters to watch too.
Well, it's not fun to watch when no one can land a punch. So are we thinking that at this point that Conor's going to be able to do it? Now, he's got age on his side.
Yep.
His physical fitness has been excellent, and he talks about what he's been doing for the cardiovascular. But man, oh man, you're asking a guy to go in and perform a miracle. And here's how I look at it. If, Dave, I look at it from a statistical standpoint, if I look at it from a logistical standpoint, and so that means I'm talking basically on paper, what each fighter does, then by reputation, what they've done by career, if one is a boxer and one isn't, my decision isn't that hard to make. But as we know, sports not done on paper. And so if you're hoping for a miracle, Conor McGregor and where he grew up, in the land of fucking miracles. Do you know St. Patrick, when he took the snakes and he drove them into the ocean all the way just by making some beautiful music? That's the Irish people. Beautiful fucking people. The people of Jesus. They're God's favourite people. You all know that. But he's going to need an even bigger miracle than St. Patrick, I think, if he's going to knock him out. But Dave, if you'd thought about Buster Douglas and Tyson, you probably would have bet the farm on Tyson too.
Massive. That was probably the knockout of a generation that wasn't supposed to happen ever.
I mean, it is. Look at Ali's calling now while we're on the air. Yeah, you may want to wait till we're we're kind of on the air at 10. So what are you doing? So. Is there a miracle? I don't know. We'll get to some of that because there's so much talk going back and forth. But are we going to watch it? Absolutely. Now, yesterday was also it was fight day. Now maybe we should make it Fight Fridays. But basically, every day we're showing fights. A lot of them not attractive. I think when you're amongst all fans in an arena or the stadium, and you're swinging wildly while girls are crying and your shirt is off, these are not good moments, Dave. These are not moments that you're real proud of. And yet, the internet is filled full of them, and I take them for my own joy. Their pain is my pleasure. But last night, I didn't even need to Quite frankly, Dave, go and find some scrubs in Oakland or some drunk guy in Miami or San Diego. I just had to watch the Yankee game. And as it turns out, I'd be curious to get your take on this. So this is, once again, property of Major League Baseball, and Major League Baseball advanced media get a load of the Donnybrook, Dave, that happened last night. Yankees in Detroit.
Animated about, hey, you have to protect your teammates when Michael Fulmer retaliated.
Wait a minute, here we go.
Oh, here we go at home. Romine and
oh my goodness.
Get into it. Punches thrown. Romine getting into the gut of Cabrera, and now both benches are cleared as Romine and Cabrera at the bottom of a pile, and both teams storming for them at home plate.
Running in from the
Frazier's holding back
bullpen.
Sanchez trying to get in on it, and Cabrera's still down.
So there was some severe punching in there. Usually it's a lot of pushing and shoving, but they got some good shots in.
Well, I don't know how good the shots were.
Well, watch as soon as Cabrera's kind of turned over, Romine kind of gives him at least 4 or 5 kidney punches. Those
kidney punches count.
Yeah, they count on Tubby there. Oh, yeah. Absolutely, it does. And by the way, I've never seen a Yankee bullpen run faster than that.
I know. I thought they were going to stop, take a breath, and then continue running in.
Seriously,
we'll be with you in a second.
The thing I don't like about Major League brawls like that is, it really is a free-for-all, and you could get cold caught.
You can get a cheap shot in there.
Exactly.
If that's what you're about, you can.
If those are the type of personalities out there, exactly, they will find the way of hitting somebody when they're not looking, because there's too many people involved, and the umpires aren't there to break it up. The umpires will gather around and kind of take notes of what's actually happening when they make the ejections, but they won't split them up like linesmen. That's where it's a lot different in hockey than it is here. Not controlled at all.
Now, we've seen this year a bunch of things, and of course the issue of throwing at a guy. No, what we didn't see in that one is previously he pitched it. It almost, in fact, I don't know if it hit Cabrera. I don't know if it did. It might have almost gone around his waist a little bit. And so I'm guessing Sanchez was saying, it didn't, like, I guess you got to protect your pitcher. Is that not what happens for the catcher? I mean, he's defending, I guess, his teammate, going, to a degree, dude, it didn't even hit you.
Yeah, exactly. But Cabrera's argument is it's not in the strike zone, right? So
not even close.
So that's where that sort of situation would happen. And
because later the Yankees will come out and throw like a 90-mile-an-hour fastball at the Tiger's head, like hits him right in the helmet.
Exactly.
And then they come out again, where of course he's tossed.
See, and that's where I'll never get it for baseball. I'll never ever get it. Like when you're signaling to throw at somebody, don't aim at the person's head. Aim at their back. Aim at their thigh. You make a vicious mark on the guy's thigh or lower back kind of thing, rib area by throwing in that vicinity. But at the head, that's
you can kill a guy. Especially at that speed.
And I don't get that. I hope that got away, but considering what we saw, and plus in the past we've heard Roger Clemens say, "Yeah, I've thrown a guy's head." That's like manslaughter.
It is. It's like if and we haven't seen it very often in the NHL, but I go back to the 70s, the Boreas Salming, where his face was basically cut up, in the Philadelphia 76ers.
The pictures on that
were pretty
vicious,
gross.
yeah.
And then Roy McMurtry, the Governor General, wanted to charge assault on the Philadelphia Flyers. Mm-hmm. That's right, Hall of Famer Alex. We're talking about your team. Cutting Boreas Salming with sticks. That was a brutal series. That was brutal.
Yeah,
that was brutal. So I mean, baseball is the most different sport, I think, almost in the world, Dave. Anytime you try to look at parallels where, okay, so I look at basketball and hockey, and I can make even technical decisions because they're both a fluid sport. Now, one changes every 35 seconds, whatever new guys are coming on. Basketball doesn't do that. But essentially what you're trying to get done, I can make a parallel on what athletes do in that sport. Football, to a degree, I guess, if you want to make, I mean, it is a little bit different, but I mean, you see rugby, there's an equivalent. But baseball is different. The guy who carries the ball for 90% of the game is an individual on a mound, and it's purely at some point up to him whether you win or lose. Now, even the greatest of pitchers lose a game. It's really difficult. Trust me, because I'll pick that game. I'll pick the game where the greatest pitcher in the world goes up there and starts throwing it underhanded. God damn it, baseball! St. Louis, can you not beat San Diego just once? What's your problem? But again, just how, the physical aspect of it, the reason that they've made some of those changes at second base, we saw, at least 5 years ago, maybe more, what happens when you slide into home,
a couple of years ago.
That's right. A couple of years ago. So it is different because, honestly, the parts of the game that can be a little confusing is that. If you get thrown at, would you charge the mound?
Yes.
I know I would.
Yep. Absolutely.
Depending on how, look, if the guy just sort of lost control a little bit and...
You understand, yeah, exactly. You understand...
I've hit 2 home runs in the game, or I'm right now the hottest guy in the league and I'm batting like 350.
Or a previous guy on the opposition was hit and all of a sudden you're the guy that gets hit. You know exactly the circumstance of why you got hit at the time you did.
Look, you can't take it.
Nope.
You can't go, no, that's okay. And I understand, the ball got away from you. I'm not doing that. I mean, you wouldn't want to know what I'd do if I got to. What goes on in this head just is not good, people. It really isn't.
Well, the thing is, what I've never understood was if the batters were as serious as they were, why not bring the bat out there with you?
Don't think that I haven't thought of that. Don't think that I haven't thought of that.
I'm just saying, it's because he's throwing basically a roundish cement style of ball that's going to do some damage. Well, bring the bat out with you next time.
Coming up, by the way, in about 15-20 minutes time, we're going to go to Grant McCagg.
Yes.
Former NHL amateur scout, worked for the Habs, by the way, from 2008 to 2010. So there was a number of players certainly that we can talk about. He's got a great handle on it. Recruits.ca is the name of his scouting website.
Yes.
And of course now, the level that is done in scouting. I mean, there was a time where guys traveled around, probably smoked cigars, went from arena to arena. But with the advent of social media, with the internet, it's really hard now to find that guy in Finland that nobody's ever seen or heard about. It just doesn't happen. Literally, to do that, or a Russian guy, he'd have to not be on the World Juniors. He'd have to be not on a team that's affiliated with anybody. He almost literally has never played hockey before, and then all of a sudden he steps on the ice somewhere. He's the greatest player I've ever seen.
Bingo.
That's why I look at, even still of the time, the Detroit Red Wings in what they did with Zetterberg and Datsuk. It almost feels like, how did guys go 133rd, which I think that was Datsuk, wasn't he?
Yeah,
they were both in that.
It was up there
in the hundreds.
7th, 8th round. Yeah.
Where was everybody when that happened? I still don't understand how they figured out that these guys were going to be the kinds of players. But again, look, you're talking about the Detroit Red Wings, who made very few mistakes in that time. But if Jim Devellano and a lot of those guys who did that kind of work, if you put Jim Nill in there or Ken Holland, now some of them came a little later on, I understand, but you're still looking at how you get that done. For Patrick Laine, who didn't know that he was that good, or now American college. Look at, if you had told me that guys in the Ivy League, anyone from the Ivy League, was just going to make it in the NHL, I'd say, well, what, from Harvard? Yeah, okay. I saw a Love Story. They're not that good. I've seen the footage. But Dave, guys are coming. Well, look, when one of the greatest players in the league comes from Phoenix or at least Arizona.
Yeah.
And never really saw real ice till he plays in Switzerland. Then it's just such a bizarre story. Scouting now is a completely different animal.
Yeah, it's almost like and you kind of that's a really good example. Even previous to that, there was a left winger drafted by the Kings named Luke Robitaille that went in the 9th round, who happens to be the all-time leading scorer for left wingers. 9th round. The planet itself is shrinking as far as where people are able to go see people. There's no such thing as this anymore. Mystery Alaska doesn't exist.
No.
You know what I mean?
No.
Okay movie. I kind of was disappointed. I thought there'd be more.
I never even saw it because I go, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I just...
Russell Crowe, hockey player,
right.
not going to sell. Gladiator, Russell Crowe, I'm going to watch it 10 times.
My name is Maximus. I play center. Oh, okay. No, you don't. No, you don't. You don't. Now, if Maximus had played hockey, you're getting drafted.
Yeah, he's getting drafted. Like he's a first rounder. He's an improved Brian Marchment.
Yeah.
I've seen. It's. By the way, it's Babs here, and I've seen Maximus. I think he's an Italian kid out of Tuscany, and he's a good skater. He's takes a lot of guys' heads off. He swings that the sword, and he'll be good for a group. He will be Davey, and so Maxie. I'll call him Maxie.
Maxie.
Yeah, Maxie looks good. He looks good.
No. Does Maxie fit into your top 4?
I think we're going to start him on D. Because I think a lot of guys won't go into crease because they get their fucking head chopped off, and I think that's good for our goalie. I don't know. I'm not saying which guy's going to go, but good competition in camp with the head chopping.
Thanks, Babs.
Yeah, you're good too, Davey. Done a good job there. Yeah, they've got good players, and we've got good players. Sun come up tomorrow, and we'll see what happens.
I'm just doing that. Guess what? That's going to show up today, and someone's going to get mad.
Live chat from Nebraska. Was that the real Mike Babcock?
Yeah.
I can't believe he phoned into that station over there on the computer, Ma.
Must be Star Trek. Must have beamed him in.
We also all right. This is off topic because for some reason on a Friday, my mind goes to really bad places. I was just filling the guys in on some of the dreams I have, and both Dave was like, I'm scared right now. I'm really horrified. Okay, here are some of the movies. Okay, just movies because if we show the clip, I know someone's going to goon us. But I got to tell you, Law Abiding Citizen with Gerard. What's his name? The Scottish guy. Gerard Butler.
Yeah.
Gerard Butler. So if you haven't seen the movie, I'm not going to ruin it for you. But if you want to see some guy who's really thought about getting revenge, like really put some work into it, really has. This is the movie you want to see in that first 50. Look, just like all those revenge movies, like Death Wish, you're going to hate like the first 10, 15 minutes is always like the sad part. Like John Wick. Got to watch John Wick. Keanu Reeves. I know people are like, okay, how good could that movie be? Him doing revenge? Is it like, so now you're totally gonna pay? No, it's not. It's not like that. Like it's not.
He took my surfboard.
Yeah, you killed my wife and my dog, and so now you will pay. Yeah, cut. No, it's not gonna be. It's not gonna be. But also, like falling down.
Yep.
Can you tell me that most of us as guys are watching that movie and you're going, okay, this would be most of us if we hit that point.
Yep.
But the only thing I don't like about those movies, then they make the guys like so bad. It's like, no, now we got to take him out in the end. Now he's the bad guy.
Over the top, exactly.
But
exactly. Everybody wants to get out of your car at some time. Probably never do, but that's why you like that movie, because it's like, that's it. I like that.
When he goes to the burger place, that's the picture I think we have up there, Russell. When he goes to the burger place, and he's got the gun, and he like an Uzi or whatever it is, an automatic weapon. He's shooting in the ceiling. There's a look. He goes, now, do you see that picture of the burger there? And do you see my burger here? Does anyone see the difference? Come on, Janie. Because he's using all the tags. Janie, you can simply see that, right? What was it, Wally Burger or whatever it's called? It's fantastic. Isn't that great? I love the revenge movies. And Death Wish, I still have to see the new one.
That's why I want to see the Bruce Willis movie.
The Bruce Willis movie is going to be great. Yeah. There's some weekend watching right there.
Mm-hmm.
That the wives can hardly wait.
Oh, yeah.
What else am I showing here, roast beef? Before the bottom of the hour, we get to Grant McKegg here on rawmikerichards.com, also watching on the dedicated YouTube channel. What do I want to show here?
Do you want to go to some fight stuff? Or Nick Lewis yesterday? In a losing cause?
Okay, yeah. Oh, by the way, that's correct. And guess who was 1 for 1 again? Victor Newman. Victor Newman's Passionate Picks. They're back. So go to the website or go to the YouTube channel.
He's hitting like 85%.
He is. He loses one every week. He's like three out of 4 every week, and I think he's going to go 4 for 4 this week. I really do. He, by the way, also took Mayweather and McGregor rounds over, and we're using, as you can see right here, Bet Regal. 209 for over 8.5 rounds, Dave. So double your money. Should you want to go that way, go to Bet Regal. Remember, sign up right now. You're going to get yourself a deal. We'll get to some of the other picks. But last night in Montreal, Nick Lewis, it would be so weird, and maybe for some of our American friends who are watching here today, to see that now the all-time receiver, his body type, like all the other ones, like G. Roy Simon's on that list, Ben Cahoon, who sort of. There's a lot of athletes who are smaller guys, receivers, who kind of look like that. Like Amendola to me, and those kinds of guys.
Bingo.
They're that size.
Julian Edelman.
Also perfect example. But then Nick Lewis is what? I'm not sure how high. It looks like he's about 5'10", 265.
Yeah, maybe,
He's almost
maybe 285.
He's almost square. He's always loved the contact. Trust me. As a football coach, a receiver who goes out there who wants to put a beating on DBs, you got to love that. He loves hunting for the guy that he can run over. But he's now caught more balls than anybody else in the history of the game in a season. It's now, 1,030 or whatever it is now.
I forget what it is.
And this was last night in a losing cause to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, courtesy of our friends at TSN.
Right here. 3rd and 3. Darian goes over the middle. Nick Lewis makes the first down. And he is now the CFL's all-time reception leader. Nick of all time. 10:30 for number 8.
Look at the size of him. The tank.
From a storytelling point of view, you might have wanted to see it come on a game-winning touchdown for Nick Lewis, but it just seems appropriate.
But it is amazing to last that long, Dave, playing that sport. And I don't care what league you're in. No, people say, yeah, CFL, but still, remarkable for a guy that, look, Nick's one of those guys. Nick, he is a team player, but make no bones about it. He's his own guy.
Geronimo Jones, as he was called with the Calgary Stampeders, or Simon Sleepwalker, or whatever he was calling himself back then. He's put on some weight in the last couple of years. But who hasn't, right? I mean, we're not 20 anymore. But I
was going to say we're not like Tiger Woods, but we saw a lot of Tiger Woods the other day.
Yes, we did.
Do you see those pictures? Like I don't need to see that. I don't need to see your meat and two veg, or your tackle box, or your whatever you want to call it, your shillelagh. And then I got to be honest, Lindsey Vonn.
Hashtag disappointment.
Well, I'm just saying there are some things. I'm not a gynecologist. There's some pictures where you're like, oh yeah, sexy, looks good. And then you're like, bah! Like, what do you, now she wants to sue the website. Here's my question. How do these pictures get out of the hand? I mean, I understand why people buy them, why they put them on the website. That's not even the question.
Yeah.
Like, once it gets that far, you're suing for what? Like, how did they get out of someone's phone? Like, Tiger's not doing it.
Nope, Tiger's not doing it. She's not doing it.
She's not doing it. So
There's obviously hackers that get into people's phones.
So that's how it works, hackers?
I don't know how.
Because that makes me really really nervous.
I was gonna say. I'm going to start deleting some of our
I
messages.
was going to say, oh, yeah.
Give me a second here.
I always feel nervous about that. Like, you realize once you send messages working for a company, they have those emails forever. Forever? Even if you delete them, they always have them. Oh.
You know what?
Yeah.
What's even worse
started to sweat
is
about that
that's the voice that actually says it to us, too. That kind of makes me nervous.
Before we get to Grant McKegg, former NHL amateur scout, worked for the Habs from 2008 to 2010. If you're a Habs fan, you might want to hang around and listen to this one. His site is recruits.ca, still scouting. And look, there's lots to talk about, including, now coming up, is it next week? The remarkable story of a guy in his 40s.
Yes.
Who could actually represent Canada in the Olympics because of the way things have turned out.
It's a fantastic story, and I've been trading off emails with him left and right. He will be in studio on Tuesday, and if you do get a chance, take a look. It was in the Sun, and his name is Kevin Porter. And he's 42 years old. He works in, I don't know if he's a firefighter or if he's EMS, but he's in that sort of genre of
first
safety.
responder of some kind.
First responder,
yeah.
Exactly. Well, he's making waves on trying to land a pro contract to make the ultimate comeback at age 42. It's a great story, and the guy sounds fantastic. So I look forward to the conversation, because who hasn't wanted to actually go, you know what? Let me give this one more crack.
Oh, sure you do.
Let me give this one more chance, one more crack, and then he's doing it at age 42.
You're telling me that in my 40s, I'm not sitting there watching like the Rose Bowl or something. I'm like, yeah. Starting to get quarterback. Number 22. And I do that. I do like a flutie. Number 2. 45-year-old walk-on Mike Richards at USC. Well, he sort of seems to be a little... I think the word's drunk. I don't know what it is. But, you know, to be able to just think that you could sit there and do that, that's like a fantasy. So, look, before we get to Grant, is he calling us?
He's calling us, yeah.
Oh,
He'll
God,
be
the
calling
magic
us
of
in about
Skype.
2 minutes. So hopefully that Skype's actually working.
What is now it's doing something weird. No, don't Skype. Skypey.
He has a nickname, too.
Yeah,
Right?
Skypey.
Skypey.
Skypey. Don't be shit. Don't be shit, Skypey. Conor McGregor and Mayweather, courtesy of our friends at ESPN. So Oscar De La Hoya sits down and starts talking about his perception of what he believes the fight to be and what's going to happen. And I will say it sort of mirrors, I think, a lot of people's feelings on it. I haven't talked to Stephen Brunt about it, so I don't know what Stephen's saying. And he's a very astute boxing guy. In fact, if you want to have a great night, you sit down with Stephen over a couple of pints in a pub and just start talking boxing. It'll be one of the best nights you ever have. I love Stephen. So Oscar De La Hoya sits down with SportsCenter, once again ESPN, and has this to say about the fight.
McGregor would be delusional if he thought he could really go in there and actually take Floyd. You've seen some of these leaked tapes of him fighting,
right?
Or videos of him fighting. What do you think now? Do you still think that he may or may not have a chance?
I think he has less of a chance. Those videotapes were against a Paulie Malignaggi, who, no disrespect to Paulie, but he's no Mayweather. Or I would have maybe given McGregor a chance if, let's say, he would have sparred with a Canelo Alvarez, for instance, who is a heavier guy, faster guy, who is a heavy puncher, who is a real, live champion inside that ring. So I mean, I look at those videos and it's like it's almost a joke.
Okay, so if you think it's a joke, what do you expect to see then on Saturday night?
I expect Mayweather to just outbox him 12 rounds with no problem. Because look, I mean, this is McGregor's first boxing fight inside a ring, inside a boxing ring. So it's totally different going 5 rounds in the UFC than going 12 rounds. What I can see is Mayweather maybe waiting 5, 6 rounds, let McGregor get tired, and then maybe even stop him in the 8th, 9th, 10th round.
All right, because that was my next question. Because I would think, and some are saying if it goes the distance, Conor could say that's a win for him.
Right. Well, I mean, when is a loss a win? I think that look, I'm rooting for boxing because boxing is my life. And I'm defending boxing 100%. That's my business. That's been my livelihood for forever since I was 5 years old.
Well, there it is. So there's
hopefully
there's Oscar De La Hoya, once again courtesy of SportsCenter and ESPN. But there's, I mean, logical thinking. And again, he's talking about, even though making his living from the world of boxing, the reality is that I don't. I mean, if they stop a fight, but I just don't think it's. I think this thing probably does go the distance, and even if it doesn't, Dave, it's at least going 10 rounds. This thing has to go at least 10 rounds because, I mean, Conor can take a punch, and I think if you had a reputation, that is Mayweather, for going headhunting or knocking guys out purely as a boxer, as a puncher, but that's not on his resume either. So if this thing comes down to a decision, even though Oscar De La Hoya says, it's when is a loss a win, but you know what? If you get another payday, I mean, if we're looking at this like
big win. It's a big win.
Like a WWE, Dana White and the rest involved, because I don't know how many, it could be hundreds of millions. Is it $1 billion? I don't know, but it's a lot of money, Dave.
I look at this as two different ways. I see it going a long time. But if for some reason, if Conor McGregor decides that he's going to go full out hard on Floyd Mayweather, Floyd may drop him quickly. That's the only thing in it. But I don't think it's in Conor's best interest to go on the hard offensive, aggressive attack, because it's going to be a lot of missing, a lot of dodging.
I think you're going to see a lot of that in the first. So, like for instance, who's going to leave themselves open? Well, I've got to think even at this age, Mayweather isn't. It's going to be very difficult. Now, the younger guy in Conor McGregor, who's also very good at counter punching, and I just think there's going to be a long fight, and that's why, again, taking a look at the numbers, and before the show's over, we'll get to what Dave and I are going to do this weekend and picks even just beyond the fight, because I think there's, a couple of good CFL ones. If you followed Victor Newman and his passionate picks, he was right again. So we'll do that before the show is over. You're watching rawmike.richards.com, or you've downloaded it on iTunes, Google Play. We're also working on Tuned In to try to get us streamed live, especially for those guys out in Western Canada who would like to listen to it in their car. I mean, that's the one thing that we promised we do, and for some reason we still are not in the right category, so we're going to work on that for you. And again, it's part of the education of us, even when we started this basically at the end of April, beginning of May. Everything that we do on a daily basis is another part of the education, so we hope we can do that for you. Coming up, we hope to track down Grant McKegg. He's the former NHL amateur scout, worked for the Habs from 2008 to 2010. His scouting website is recruits.ca.
Skype's working okay?
Well,
should be okay, right?
Why is he trying to call in and it's not working?
No, he hasn't sent me a message yet, but I'm just wondering how.
We'll still. I'm just.
Yeah, it sounds okay. Sounds like.
Okay, so why is that? No, it looks like that's trying to call somebody.
Uh-oh.
This Skype. Come on, Skype. I don't know who we're going to phone. You know, I think it might have been Jeff Manishin. I think he was going to. By the way, a lot of comments about Jeff the other day when he was talking about the Ezekiel Elliott, just how unbelievably detailed Jeff was. Trust me, if there's one guy who's
detailed,
over detailed, it's Jeff Manishin. He could have done a half an hour. Like, we cut it off after about 17 minutes. He could have gone for another 13 minutes. Trust me. But it was well done, and he brought up still a very interesting point. And you think about it: if a league has made a decision to ban a guy or suspend him, I guess is really the word I'm looking at. So you affect the team for 6 games, almost, half your season, when legally the law hasn't even made a decision on which way or the other. How much does that cost your team? Well, if you're the Dallas Cowboys, Dave, Ezekiel Elliott out for 6 games, it's not like your backup offensive lineman or a linebacker.
That's a leading rusher in the NFL, and a guy that wants to do it again and again and again. And in an attack like that, considering that they do have now a sophomore quarterback, got to be careful with him, because people are starting to learn the book on Dak Prescott. The back takes so much pressure off of that quarterback in an offensive scheme. And the Dallas Cowboys, let's face it, the Giants are a very good team. The Eagles are improving and were 7-9 last season. The Washington Redskins were in the playoffs the last 2 years, and this year they still have everybody they have in place, plus they have additions. So it's a pretty good division, Mike. I mean, don't be surprised if everybody's over 500 in that division.
But take a look at what's happened. So the Giants, depending on Odell Beckham, now it might only be one game.
Yep.
It might only be one game.
Love what the Giants did too. Brandon Marshall's on the opposite side, so they have the 2 key receivers, 2,000-yard receivers, plus they drafted a young tight end, Eric Ingram, who actually could probably fit into that mold of. Do you remember Mark Bavaro back in the day?
Back in the day, yeah.
That's the type of tight end he is. He can catch.
Well, I love the tight end offense. I'm huge on it.
Yes.
Yeah, and if you want to go double tight sometimes, I think that. I mean, it literally is like trying to once they get into like 5 yards off the line. If you're that size, like the Antonio Gates kind of size guy, you're just so much bigger than the guys. If I need 5 yards, 7 yards,
you're going to get it.
You're going to get it. And if you have double tights, it's like it's a wall of humanity, really tough to get to. And it's really an old school offense. When you start talking about the tight end offense, and it's not.
It is. It's almost like you're having 7 offensive linemen.
Yeah,
right?
It goes back to almost the infancy of when football started off of rugby. I mean, real big boy stuff like the leather helmet. I mean, that's really how it looked. You go back to a Dave Casper playing with the Raiders in the day. I mean, that was a big part of what John Madden did. And so these things tend to, at least in football, like a lot of other sports, go in cycles. I doubt we'll see the Wildcat again.
Speaking of John Madden 2018. Don't know if you saw the cover on it, Mike.
It looks crazy, that game.
Tom Brady on the cover.
Well, of course it is.
Hashtag Madden curse.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, careful.
Roast beef, what do you think about? Do you play a lot of Madden? Do you play a lot of Madden football? Because, if you go to ESPN or some of those sites, you see the little commercial for Madden. Is it 18, I think? Madden 18.
Correct.
It looks, I don't know how they do it. I honestly don't know how they do those graphics.
Yeah, the last Madden game I have is 16, and the one before that was 09. So I don't play a lot of it, but when I do play it, it's generally an all right game.
Funniest story, guys, that I ran into, I think it was last year. I'm walking through a mall, and there's an older gentleman, probably in his 60s. You know, he looks like everything was good about him and so forth. We're walking through, and there's in the window, I don't know if it was a Best Buy or it was that kind of style. There was a big TV set up, and there was a football game going on the TV, and the guy is talking to his wife going, I don't think they play today. And they're going back and forth. And then I walk by, and it's a video game. Oh, my. Because honestly,
it's great.
If you're not paying attention, you're watching a real football game with this video game. That's how good that is. I think that's the ultimate compliment too. Because there's no such thing as
back in the day,
the receiver moving around like this. Yeah, exactly.
Beep beep beep. Our good friend Kevin Harlan, who we, for years, it was at TNT, I think CBS Sports, I believe he's at CBS. You know his voice; he's fantastic. Well, I could hear this voice downstairs, and my son and his buddy Taylor, who played NCAA Div 1 basketball at Binghamton, and I'm hearing them yelling and whatever, and I hear Kevin's voice. I'm like, well, it's terrible to say, but. It's a gambler. I know. There's not a game on it. I don't know why TNT or whether it be and of course it's a video game. How good it is. I mean, what is the best sport? If you're looking at video games, what is the best sport to play? That's the most realistic and the most fun. Is it basketball? Is it football? It doesn't matter whether you're playing the college version or the pro version. A lot of people play like the Premiership game. There's the soccer one. Roast beef. What's the best game? What do you think? I'll throw it out. You can also contact me at Mike Richards on Twitter or at David Bastel.
I play a lot of NHL. Really like
NHL?
The NHL games. And then FIFA.
Shirts and skins. NHL or regular NHL?
Yeah, that got a little weird. That got weird. Yeah.
And then FIFA.
You do play FIFA?
Oh yeah, we have a scoreboard at my buddy's place here.
Oh no!
Oh boy. Here we go. You have a scoreboard.
For bragging rights.
Do you do like little pretend interviews after post game interviews and stuff with each other?
We do not.
I bet you do.
Is it shirts and skins?
Well, I thought, when he's sat off, we really got to go, they could sort of box up and we try to get, a little bit of penetration and, a little bit of pace in the ball. And we're disappointed. I thought the goalkeeper was really quite bad, really. What do you think, Timmy? That's what I think it was good. I mean, who knows what goes on down there. And now let's wrestle. No, it's
speaking of wrestling, the wrestling games are fantastic too. WWE.
I played the old one because I was always Sting, the long-haired Sting with the long coat.
I was going to say which version.
Yeah, the long-haired, the crow. Looking Sting.
Sting also was a bleach blonde with a crew cut. Right?
No, I don't like that one. No. Why? I mean, you can't get no.
Well, that was the original Sting.
The original Sting was
he was kind of like the surfer dude with the spiked bleach blonde hair. He had more of the brighter colors.
Was it like and sort of like a Dolph Ziggler kind of vibe a little bit?
That's fair,
to it?
but Sting itself as a wrestler and how he's transformed. Now he's retired and so forth. That was the mark of why Dolph Ziggler was what you know what I mean. Like
we should get that. You know what?
That's the copy.
Do we know who the Sting guy is? Do we know his real name? I don't know.
Yeah, his name is Steve. Oh, jeez.
Why don't we get him?
Steve something. Oh, that might be tough.
We know a lot of WWE guys.
Hey, we can try. I'm just saying. The guy is very standoffish as far as media is concerned, and when two guys like us, well, we don't really help the cause, do we?
But Sting, I want to be you. Yeah, dude, I hear that like a million times a day from freaks who dress up in front of my house and go, I'm Sting. Yeah, okay. Guys, I just get my mail. Do you mind? Assholes. Here we go. Yeah, okay. Here's spit. How strong are you? Yeah, can you catch this? That's what I do to them. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Sting joining us here on the program.
I like your I'm Sting.
So this weekend, as I said, we're going to take a look at...
I just sent Grant a quick email just in case he's having a hard time getting through to us, because if he's having a hard time getting through, we'll get through to him, right?
Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to play some very interesting music, and I'm going to tell you exactly some of the picks that I'm making this weekend. And let's go with this music here.
Okay.
Is that exciting?
Oh, that is exciting.
That is exciting.
Sounds
okay.
like you mean business.
I do mean business.
Sounds like you're going 8 for 8.
I want to win. And once again, these numbers courtesy of Bet Regal. As you can see, how do we do it?
Yeah, right there.
Ladies and gentlemen, Sting. Okay, I got to stop doing that. I'm going to do that in a Tim Hortons in about 5 minutes. I can feel it. Yeah, that's great. So, medium coffee or Floyd Mayweather, Conor McGregor.
Yep.
And I'm just watching the odds because they are flying all over the place. But basically, it's hanging around 209, 210. That's decimal. Over 8.5 rounds. I'm taking over 8.5.
Yep.
Edmonton Eskimos, Saskatchewan Roughriders. It's now down to minus 5.5. It was 6.5. I'm not sure what they're seeing in that game, but I still think at home, and I'm loving under 6. To me, I'm not hating 5.5.
That's okay by me.
That's a number. Ottawa Red Blacks and BC, depending on who's playing quarterback, whether it's Travis Lulay or Jennings, I don't know which one it's going to be, but the Red Blacks, they play a paced game, so I'm going to take the under. I don't see either of these teams lighten it up unless it goes to overtime like it did last night. But I'm going to take under 55. I think that's a pretty hefty number for two teams at times offensively who have struggled.
A lot of points in overtime when you think of it, though, too.
Tons.
Yesterday, Bombers and Alouettes, 19 points in overtime.
Yeah, otherwise that game was an under.
It's like,
so if you had the under, you're like, what, he made that field goal? It's like, oh, my God, to put it in overtime. So here's what I'm doing footy-wise. So Bournemouth and Manchester City looks fantastic. Even with the Asian handicap, so that's minus 1.5, so they got to win by 2. It only pays a 181. But I am going to take the Asian handicap at 1.5. Also, Watford and Brighton. I'm seeing goals. I'm seeing goals. I'm not sure. You know what? I'm not even sure who's going to win that game. But some of the teams that have come up out of relegation, it's been sort of an interesting story. Both teams to score pays a 191. So if I put $20 on those picks, and for me, that's not my usual 10. What am I taking here? Come on. Oh, my God. Sometimes I got to tell you, laptops, I fucking hate them. I hate them.
You've
1, 2, 3,
mentioned that
4,
from time to time.
6. So that's 6 games. That's pretty good for me. On $20, that's $1,000. That pays $1,000.
That's great.
And Bet Regal will be happy to give it to you. Where'd you get that information? What do you think, Mike Richards? Oh, thanks, Richie. Appreciate the new endorsement.
Always good having you
Congratulations.
For $1,000. Because you're Sting.
My wife's going to call him. You're not Sting. I'll put you in a bathtub. Don't do it. You heard what my dream was the other night.
Does she watch a lot, too?
No.
No, me neither. Well, okay. From time to time, I read.
Does Vicky?
All the time. All the time. And she loves Sting.
Sting. Yeah, probably the police Sting.
No.
No, she knows a little bit wrestling, doesn't she?
Yeah, sure she does.
God, that's attractive.
Yeah,
I hope we make out. Okay, Dave, who do you have for this weekend?
Well, I'm on board with your over as far as rounds are concerned, because I think this is going to go into double-digit rounds as far as the big fight on Saturday. Looking forward to that one. CFL, what I'll give you is this. Right now, as far as Week 10 is concerned, I like Edmonton minus the 5.5 points. That I have no problem giving that away. I'm actually surprised that Ottawa is a 1-point favorite against the Lions. I just think the BC Lions are a better team. And when you look at the CFL,
well, they were horrible last week, and I think the Lions makers have been both with the Saskatchewan number and with this, because they're neither that good or that bad as most teams.
Yeah, but I can't make those sort of rash judgments on basically what's happened in the last 5 days. I mean, I look at BC as a team that has 2 starting quarterbacks. They'll figure this out. I think they'll beat the Ottawa Red Blacks. And I hate to say this, Ottawa. I hate to say this, Toronto Argo fans, but I think Calgary at minus 10 is my play as far as that final game of the weekend.
Well, you know what? I didn't say that either. That's what I did take. So if you said, wait a minute, you're missing a game, that's what I took. Even though I don't like the number.
It's a heavy number, but Calgary has a way of just chopping down opponents. I could see them being up by 7 at the half, and then after that, if you want to break that down, all they need is like 3-4 points extra in that second half to win. I think they win by at least 2 touchdowns, so I got the Stampeders minus the 10 points.
Once again, we've gone to Bet Regal for these picks. If you go to my website, go to rawmikerichards.com and click on the introductory offer. You'll see that there's something special for listeners and viewers of rawmikerichards.com. We hope you do it because it certainly establishes ourselves with our brand new sponsors, or now almost a month old, but we realize a lot of people don't start gambling until Dave Football, as you know, which is coming up. And there's going to be tons of that. So if you go there now, we just gave you, I got some footy, we got some CFL, and of course the Conor McGregor fight that takes place on Saturday night. So much talk about it. And speaking of numbers, just how much are people betting? So very often around guys who don't bet, kind of wonder when you look at the decimals of the numbers, Dave, and they say, yeah, but if you thought it was a for sure thing, how much money do you have to bet to make it worthwhile? So if you want to bet on Floyd Mayweather, what does it take to get a return? Now, let's just say, Dave, you want to make $182,000. Would you be happy with that?
I'm okay with that, yeah.
So at those odds, if they were minus 550, for instance, and this courtesy of MGM, their sports book. So to make $182,000, they did take a bet. They wired in the money. They wired this into the MGM. This is Jay Root told ESPN this. $1 million.
Wow.
$1 million would net just under $182,000. And then William Hill, so their Nevada sportsbook, reported taking a 1.2. I mean, when you're rich, it's got to be fun. You're like, what are the odds? At this point, it was minus 500, right? So a little better number. They took a $1.2 million bet on Mayweather. Once again, these are Mayweather bets because the number's so bad. The $1.2 million bet would get you $240,000.
I would still do that.
$250,000.
Yeah.
And if you got millions,
yeah, then you do it.
Then you're like, I'm sure he's going to win this fight.
Your return,
if that's what you believe.
Yeah, your return on investment, the $1.2 million gets you 240. Yeah, absolutely.
Because the number is literally all over the place now. So the two $1 million bets are the largest reported wagers on this fight to this point. And that's when there was a surge when the numbers started changing a little bit. In addition to the $1 million bets, MGM and William Hill each took $300,000 bets on Mayweather earlier in the day. Well, come on. $300,000? Seriously, are you that cheap? You suck. $300,000. So, what, a third of that? So you're going to make what, like $50,000?
Wonder who Connor's betting on.
Dave, don't start with me. You're in trouble. I'm looking for. I don't give a shit. About. I realize that it's a circus event, but I like a circus event. Back in the day, Bobby Riggs is playing Billie Jean King, and Bobby Riggs is in not the greatest of shape at this point. I think he's 50. Did I watch it? It was huge. In the day, ABC, they covered it. I don't know. Did Howard Cosell do the event? I can't remember that. I mean, I was just a kid. But that was a huge event, and people go, well, why would you watch? Well, for Bobby Riggs, who liked to gamble on a lot of shit, he didn't care. He's a male chauvinist pig. Whatever. But the stadium was packed. You only have like three to seven channels that we could watch at the time. It was either the 3 American ones or the 3 or 4 probably Canadian ones you got at the time. Yep. I'm sure Winnipeg was the same way. So literally, if it was 12, everyone was watching it. The whole of North America would have watched that.
Bingo.
And Billie Jean King said, it wasn't so much about me being a better tennis player at the time. She goes, and if I won, kind of people in some ways, but she can't lose. She goes, it would be disastrous, even from the female perspective, and how embarrassing Bobby Riggs was and how he chatted the whole time. Bobby Riggs eventually loses. But she goes, I had to win. Losing would have been disastrous. For Conor McGregor, if he loses, will everyone expect him?
Yeah, who's going to sit there and go, oh.
Does it matter if he's knocked out or decision? Do you think it matters one way or the other?
I hope for his sake, it is a decision that he isn't knocked out. And if he is knocked out, I hope it isn't early. When I
just can't see it, Dave. I just don't think that
when I throw down my $100 to rent the pay-per-view, I don't want to see 6 minutes of boxing. I'm just saying.
Well, you're going to see. I think you're going to see a lot of people were really disappointed. Remember the Pacquiao?
Yes. The most disappointing part about the Pacquiao Mayweather fight was it was about 4 years too late. Because
at least 4 years.
Because Mayweather kept on ducking him, and then finally they signed the deal. And Pacquiao was already broken down. He already fought a number of fighters in between, and he wasn't the same fighter that he was previous to. Because I think a younger Manny Pacquiao would have defeated Floyd Mayweather.
Some issues before we get to almost the end of the show. So maybe we'll try.
It doesn't
another
look
time
like we're going to get our guy today, Mike.
for Grant.
Yeah.
Colin Kaepernick. So there was that rally yesterday in New York City, and so he addressed there was almost like 1,000 people there at this rally, and it was sort of like a power to the people kind of rally. And I took to Twitter, and he addressed all the people wearing jerseys in his name that's outside of the league's Midtown Manhattan offices, and they gave the power,
sure,
sort of almost like the Black Panther thing, but not quite. This is what I think, in some ways, for Colin Kaepernick. If you're going to go down the road of protest to make things better, that's what he should be doing. Like, if football has closed and again, this gets back to when we talked about your people and your PR people. If that's the case, and they've closed the door, then take your cause further. And if 1,000 people are showing up to back you in the middle of Manhattan, then you probably got something going here. So if it's about the brutality that you see in your country and the racial injustice, by doing things like this, I also see that the NAACP were sort of backing it. You know what? I think you should go for it. Because, again, it was never about, at least for me anyways, about what he was protesting. Because it was, we see it every day, Dave, on television. It gets uglier and nastier in the States. And, once you start seeing, are you serious? Like Klan parades? That's why I think Charlottesville was so upsetting for people, because a lot of people have lived this and never in a million years think that you'd be talking about neo-Nazism in 2017, now going on 2018. So if anyone was to have the kind of power that you can get by having, rallies, then if you're Colin Kaepernick, then do it. Because I actually think if you have the ability to rally those kinds of people, then I think for Colin Kaepernick, Dave, don't worry about, he probably made in that short period of time enough money to never have to worry about money again. That's how much money these guys get paid.
God, I hope so for his sake, because it was a big contract after he signed that deal, that run to the Super Bowl for the 49ers. But there's still physical ability in that player. You know what I mean? Like is perhaps the CFL an option for him? Should it be an option for him?
If he wanted to play that badly, then maybe it is. But I think that he's maybe got a bigger calling.
Yeah.
Maybe it's to I don't know if you want to call him a radical. I don't think he's radical.
No.
I think the injustices and the problems you see in the United States, we see it. So if he's able to do that, I don't see why he wouldn't. But then again, that's yesterday from Colin Kaepernick. No, roast beef, anything else I want to get to before we get to the weekend and the heavy drinking? What do you got going on? Were you talking about orgies? Is that what you were saying? Oh, that's crazy stuff. Your mom know about that? By the way, Jay Cutler looked pretty good last night.
Jay Cutler looked very good last night. And for anybody out there that is sitting there going, hey, why did the Dolphins go after Colin Kaepernick instead of Jay Cutler? I think you'll find out your reasons soon. I'll go as far as saying the Jay Cutler replacement of Ryan Tannehill because of injury is going to be the same, if not better, than what Tannehill would have been if Tannehill was still part of that Dolphin offense. I even think that if I'm betting, the Jay Cutler experience is going to be better for Dolphin fans this season than what would have been if he hadn't injured himself earlier. Well,
it is courtesy of ESPN, and as we expect, always property of the NFL. Here's Jay Cutler from last night.
These guys they're different speeds. I mean, whenever they get green grass, like they're gone. And we were kind of a short field. I got moved off my spot a little bit to the left. There was a touch late to him. Probably watching on film and want to drive a little bit more and pull him across the field. But we luckily got the PI there. But all three of them, Jarvis, Devontae, and Kenny, they're talented weapons, and I'm glad they're on our squad.
Once again, that was Jay Cutler, last night, property of the National Football League.
Yeah, I mean, Jason Priestley has 3 good receivers to throw to. He's going to have himself a nice season in South Beach.
Yeah.
It's great. Luke Perry's probably going to be hanging out with him, too.
And Luke Perry.
Jenny Garth. And who else?
Oh, the troubled one that I like.
troubled
the
one.
Irish one.
Yes, the dark hair.
Her
name was
Shannon Doherty.
Shannon Doherty.
Shannon.
She might even be there.
Shannon Doherty will be cheering for Conor McGregor.
She will, eh?
Yeah.
That's confirmed. Okay. So is there...
Luke Perry was like, you're not my dad, or whatever. It's like, oh, everyone's okay. The guy, okay, we're just at McDonald's. He never said he was your dad. It was a weird show. Did you ever watch the show?
I did.
Like Jenny Garth looked pretty hot.
Not religiously, not like we can.
No, I never.
Hey, let's just. It wasn't the OC, okay?
No, the OC.
It wasn't the OC.
So if you're okay, roast beef. This is towards you because this is more the things. Like I heard you talking on the phone to your friends about this.
Yeah.
Did you watch the OC? Yes, you did. You watched the OC?
I didn't.
Oh please.
Oh come on! I heard you on the phone.
I heard you singing the theme song.
California. You'd make up with Coop and you make up with Summer, and I'm sorry,
Sure.
I don't care. You know who's
and Coop's mom.
Yeah, Coop's mom for sure. She's Canadian. She's from Hamilton,
There you
apparently.
go. Summer's mom too.
But
That's
careful. Yeah, careful. We've both done that route before, and it doesn't work out good. You know, who used to watch that show, and this used to kill me. So when I first go out to the Fan 960 in Calgary, so they find at the time these insiders for me, and one of them, who used to always, before we got to the CFL or what are we going to talk about, NHL maybe a little bit, but mostly it was a lot of football, John Wells. And so I say, John, it looks like Henry Burris he's going to have a big week this week. And you go, and let me tell you, I can't believe Coop wasn't going out with Ryan because, let's be honest, I think Ryan is the best choice.
He did not.
Oh, yeah.
Did he really?
Did you see Valerie Bertinelli? She was on the show last week, and I got to tell you, she looks like she's put on a little bit of weight.
That's awesome.
Here's the touchdown toss, and it's incomplete.
I had a lot of respect for him. Now it's gone over the top.
Yeah, it's really good.
That's fantastic.
And then he talk about, how about some rouge on the weekend, Mikey? I got the red wine up here in Port Perry. Which is great.
I wonder what John Wells would think about Ryan from the OC turning into James Gordon eventually years later.
We should find out. We should call him.
I think
he's got. I think
it's fantastic.
John Wells has done more. You have to realize how like some of these guys. So John Wells, obviously Brian Williams, who might be the president of that entire club.
Correct.
But a Dave Hodge and some of the stuff that these guys have seen over the years, man, they got a lot to see. Those would be cool guys to get on.
Yep.
But and we will get Brian on. Brian's a good friend. And as long as they allow him to show up on something like this,
he can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
You know how
we'll have him. Maybe even Grapes too. Because he always asks me about that, and I'm like, well, sure. Yeah.
You're in.
Obviously. Now, any other pictures I want to get to, or anything roast beef I haven't talked about? Because I think I pretty much got to everything I wanted to this weekend. What is the crowd here? What is that about? What is that?
The Irish fans shutting down New York City traffic.
Okay, so this is actually after UFC 2005. One day it will be. So this was 205. This is, and so the Irish take to the streets of New York City because someone tweeted me yesterday, and you're probably watching now, and said, I ain't cheering for McGregor. Even people in Ireland aren't cheering for this guy.
That's pretty stupid.
Well, I can tell you that, depending on the relatives, and you probably, if you're talking that way, you might even have family back over in Ireland, that would not be the way that the Irish that I know or my family members, how they feel about it, because they're very, Ireland doesn't get a chance to strut very often. They can't do it in soccer because they get beat by giants. You're losing out to, whether it's Germany or Italy or Brazil or Spain or what. Thierry Henry being offside and then throwing the ball in the net. These kinds of things, very upsetting for us. But in the other sports that they could be good and only Ireland plays them. So the GAA, the Gaelic Athletic Association. So for Irish people to take real ownership of something that's magical, I would disagree with that point. And I would think that if you see any of this footage, including where Floyd Mayweather is supposed to be because he lives in Las Vegas, don't you think that's where his biggest fan base would be?
Nope.
That never happened.
Nope.
I don't think that didn't happen in New York. It didn't happen anywhere. But this is, once again, after 205, this is what it looked like in New York City after Conor wins. That's beautiful. Look at those people. Now, here's what you got to watch for. Buddy does a cartwheel. It's going to be in the bottom left-hand side. It's my favorite part of this whole video. He's dressed all in black, and you got to know he's gunned, he's bollocksed, he's banjanged. And I think it's this boy here. No, right? There it is. there, and the high stepping right there. He's Roger Craig now. That's the best part of it. So you're telling me that going into this fight, that the emotional, even though if you don't think he's going to win, don't you think everyone's thinking that they'd love to see Conor McGregor win?
Everybody is. And it's also not only because of, there's a lot more Conor fans, but Floyd has a lot of enemies, a lot of haters, a lot of.
You know what's said on ESPN? Should this guy be allowed to box? This is what the caption said over Mayweather. And this is on the website on ESPN. This man, should he be allowed to box after beating a woman? That's what it says, and because that's out there, guys. I'm not just. This is not my opinion. I'm saying that's what I read,
and it's happened multiple times.
Yeah.
This isn't like a first-time offense where they're not sure what happened. It's happened, and I mean Floyd Mayweather is a piece of garbage, in life.
He just happens to have the best skills of anyone.
He just happens to have the best boxing skills almost ever, and he has. Money that could run, countries by himself, and that is
true.
That's just but as far as like a loser in life, that would be Floyd Mayweather in a nutshell, and that's why. Although I'm not a huge Conor McGregor fan, I like the guy in UFC.
Careful, David.
No, I'm getting to where I'm getting to. I want Conor McGregor to beat him senseless.
That's right.
And I wish it was a UFC fight.
Pay your tax. Pay your taxes, you bitch.
Because every single time Conor McDavid would say, McGregor would say that kind of stuff in the press conferences, I was enjoying it because that's the kind of thing I'd want to say.
I think everyone was. And am I paying for the pay-per-view?
Yes.
Yes, I am.
Yes.
What?
Oh, please, Jesus.
Did we just become best friends? Yep.
Lord and Jesus. Ooh.
You want to go do karate in the garage? Yep.
Oh, yeah.
It's time!
Oh, it is time. I'm getting ready right now, Davey. I might have myself a wee fork and drink over there. Some of the black stuff. All right, Irish people. This is our chance. How are you doing? Well, I still think it goes 9, 10 rounds, maybe the full 12. If it goes to a decision, I still think it's even though what Oscar De La Hoya says, it's still a win, and then yet another fight.
Yes.
I don't know if I can go through another series of press conferences like that again. I don't know if I have the energy. I don't know if they do. Have yourself a great weekend. Thank you for a great week. Subscribe to the YouTube channel and to rawmikeRichards.com. Have yourself a lovely fucking weekend. You bastards.